Hello and welcome back to All About Community. And my name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host. And when we went to break, I was speaking with Kevin Nichols. Kevin, as I indicated at the beginning, is well known. He's all over the Bay Area. And that's very exciting, Kevin, because we see you and we see the impact that you're having. You developed or co-founded a project called social engineering. How did that happen?
A buddy of mine from high school is a professor at Stanford, Dr. Brian Brown, and he basically wanted to get young black and brown middle school students to fall in love with science at a young age. So he came up with a theory that if he exposed them to traditional STEM, so math, science, chemistry, physics, and engineering, that students, if it was exposed to them in a culturally relevant way, they'd be able to grasp it and fall in love with it. So he wrote a grant to the National Science Foundation to take 10 students from historically black colleges and universities, bring them to Stanford to learn this curriculum that he developed, and as a byproduct, they'd run a week-long day camp called Science in the City. So he did all that back in 2012. He just asked for me to help him get 50 kids to go to a free camp at Stanford, which was literally 2 Facebook posts for me. So that's what I did for him the first 2 years. After that, we thought the tech industry, philanthropy, and everyone else would embrace a program that was proven for kids to be exposed to science, and we were wrong. We didn't raise $1, and we did not have a Science in the City year 3. So that's when I rolled up my sleeves from my consulting business and started raising money and started organizing STEM programs for young kids that I actually participated in a lot of when I was young.
Well, that's interesting because when I think of social engineering, I always think of Charles Hamilton Houston, who said that a lawyer is either a social engineer or a parasite on society.
Correct.
And I think that's interesting. I believe when I go to the social engineering website, there is a photo somewhere there of Charles.
It is. And ironically, the fact is that technically I'm not an engineer or a lawyer, but the way that I look at the quote is either you're part of the problem or part of the solution. So
that's exactly what he said.
So our goal is to address the lack of diversity in the tech industry by creating culturally relevant STEM pipeline programs for young people.
You are also involved with the legal innovators. What are the legal innovators?
So legal innovators is another way to address a lack of diversity in the legal industry. Brian Parker, who's the co-founder of this organization.
Yeah, Brian Parker used to be right here in Oakland. Matter of fact, he ran for the mayor of Oakland, isn't that right?
Sure did. That's correct.
And the county board of supervisors.
That's correct. And he was on the Port Commission.
And he was on the Port Commission.
He left the Bay Area.
And he's a good lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
Good lawyer.
He left the Bay Area to move to D.C. and basically his co-founder, John Greenblatt, was a former partner, mentor of his at Sherman Sterling. And as he retired, he wanted to address a lack of diversity in the legal industry by de-risking the hiring process for lawyers to be able to get jobs in big law. Big law's problem is they're recruiting only from a certain handful of law schools. They're competing for the 45 or 50 black students from all over the country.
Right.
And if you don't get picked up in that on-campus review process or recruitment process, you're left in the cold for a couple of years to prove yourself, to be able to come in as a lateral to work in big law.
Now, I understand you are heavily involved in a lot of the political stuff that goes on here in the Bay Area. You have been involved in campaigns. We just had a recent election, I guess primary election, and a lot of candidates. I know you're not going to tell me which candidate that you support, but you can give us analysis. For example, Terry Wiley and Pamela Price are candidates for the district attorney. And what's your viewpoint on how that's likely to turn out?
Well,
that's a good question because it doesn't ask you to tell which side you may be on.
So first and foremost, for the record, I don't live in Alameda County, so
I know you don't live in Alameda
County. I have no horse in the race. What I will say is that I'm grateful that we will have a black district attorney for the first time.
That is correct.
With regards to that candidacy particularly, I did moderate a panel of all the district attorneys recently, and so because of that, I have to stay neutral. But I believe that one is more progressive than the other.
Well, that's obvious.
Right. So, I mean, it all depends on what the electorate, how they value that, and what, especially what's going on a national level, what that dichotomy looks like going forward.
Well, that's good analysis. Now, how do you see the race for the mayor of Oakland, which is coming up in November?
Once again, I don't have a horse in the race.
You don't have a horse in the race because you don't live in Oakland.
Right.
Well, give us your analysis.
My analysis is, number one, I am grateful for anyone who wants to run for mayor of Oakland because of the fact that this is such a unique place to be a mayor of a city. Everyone wants you to be mayor right up to the point you get elected, and then everyone turns against you in the blink of an eye. I don't understand. Because you can't
fix the potholes.
I don't understand.
You can't clean up the trash.
It is the most thankless job. But nonetheless, there are a number of people who are city council members that are running. Ignacio de la Fuente just threw his name in the hat, I think, a week ago.
I saw that.
So that's going to stir the pot up a little bit.
That makes about 10 candidates running.
Right, exactly. I've known Tereva Reed for a while, like 6 or 7 years perhaps. Known Lauren Taylor since 5th grade. We were in Mesa doing mathematics and engineering together at Berkeley. So I have a lot of friends that are in the race, and all I can say is best of luck.
and that's a good way to say that. And we're about to run out of time for this segment. But it's important to get to know the mayoral candidates who are running to become mayor of this great city of Oakland. So pay attention. Get educated. In the meantime, don't touch that remote. Put it down. We will be right back with All About Community. My name is Robert L. Harris. I am your host, and my guest is Kevin Nichols.